So your 1-6 Dolphins are headed up to Atlanta for a very critical Sunday game against the Atlanta Falcons. 3-3 team coached by Mike McDaniel's buddy, who's on the staff with the 49ers in Washington, Raheem Morris. This team desperately needs a win heading into Thursday night's matchup with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. So the Dolphins have 2 games in 10 days. It'll be interesting to see how they respond to it, and it'll be interesting to see what the aftermath is. Joining me is Isaiah Smalls, Miami Herald beat reporter. I am Omar Kelly, Miami Herald columnist. Isaiah, do you see a way out of the darkness?
Not completely, right? Like, I don't think that even a win on Sunday makes the 1-6 start better. Like, that's just not going to happen, right? You're going to have to stack 3, 4, 5 wins to make that better, right? You're going to have to get to 500 for me to be comfortable, be like, okay, maybe this team is turning it around, right? A win against a 3-3 Falcons team isn't going to do that, right? But I think for me, I want to see signs that this team hasn't given up, right? After the performance 31-6 loss against the Browns, it can be argued that this team has given up. Regardless of what they tell us, regardless of what they, the excuses that they made, you lose 31-6 to the Browns, to a rookie quarterback in his third start. Look, regardless of what you tell me, I'm going to say that you gave up a little bit. So they have to come out, perform better against the Falcons, a team that is pretty staunch against the pass, right? So one of the things that the Dolphins have kind of struggled with as of lately, they have an opportunity to really expose this Miami offense, right? But at the same time, look, you have Devon Achane, you still have Waddle. Obviously, there's no Darren Waller. Maybe you catch them with the element of surprise with whatever you're doing with Tanner Conner and Greg Dulcich. But the way out of the darkness it can start with a win over the Falcons, but it won't end there.
Yeah, I see the challenge that you're pointing out and creating. This Falcons defense, one of their strengths is their secondary. I think right now we can all acknowledge that one of the weaknesses of the Miami Dolphins team is what they're doing in the passing game. And it's not just Tua Tagovailoa and his turnovers. Obviously, that has to get cleaned up. But who has stepped up offensively with the exception of Jalen Waddle and Devon Achane? Now you're going into a game where you do not have Darren Waller. That was at least one of 3 weapons that you could rely on. Now you got to have somebody step up. Malik Washington, who's averaging 4.7 yards per reception. Nick Westbrook-Akine, who's probably gotten 2 targets in 3 games, despite playing 30 snaps in each contest. Some of these other backs, Ollie Gordon, Jalen Wright, have to step up, especially. Not only are the Dolphins without Darren Waller, but they're also going to be without Julian Hill, who was ruled out for the game because of an ankle injury that he suffered last week against Cleveland. That's going to be a huge loss. I know Dolphin fans don't understand or appreciate what Julian Hill does. He's kind of like the eraser where he erases bad blocks, even though most Dolphin fans think he makes bad blocks. But he kind of is important and critical to the pass protection in the run game. He's not going to be out there. So somebody's got to step up. Here's Mike McDaniel addressing that issue that the offense is having right now.
Daily challenges that you give them and their response mechanisms. It's not always what it shows in the box score. Generally, it's not even factors in on that. There's a lot of things that go into a play, and you want to make sure that they can separate in the time of the play and do what we're asking them to do. I think they've earned more opportunities to have targets and involvement based on how they've executed their off-ball stuff, whether that's running routes or blocking. What I've learned, you are hopeful, but you don't know, is they can handle a lot of varied. We change their positions in game from F to Z. They can mentally handle that. They can handle the pressure of being a primary in the scheme, whether that's blocking or running a route, and they they've shown me that it's not too big for them, and the team can rely on what their abilities, now that they've had to step up their role. So I've been very pleased with them, and I think they've earned more opportunities to have the ball in their hands, and we're hoping to get some more of those this week.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that Mike McDaniel's been very pleased with them. Obviously, Mike is ultra positive on everything. Also, major issue from my standpoint, because Mike McDaniel threatened change last week. What they put on field wasn't acceptable. They got to make changes. They got to do something different. They got to course correct. I'm putting words in his mouth, but that was the gist, the message after the game. It was a very, very, very just animated Mike McDaniel. I don't think they're going to make any changes. I really don't think they're going to make any changes. Like, we might have a active change, and maybe Zach Wilson jumps back ahead of Quinn Ewers. Mike McDaniel talked about he's going to have the best, whoever practices the best is going to play. Isaiah, I don't think there's any changes.
Look, I think we're at the point of the season where you kind of got to figure out something, right? What you put on the field, especially against the Cleveland Browns, that just was not it, right? And so because it's not it, you have to figure it out. Now, what changes can they make to actually improve the team? That's a totally different question, because we've been through the left guard roulette. I was trying to do some alliteration right there, but we've had Brunskill out there. We've had Cole Strange. We've had Keon Smith, right? None of it's looked particularly good, right? And because it hasn't looked particularly good, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to do a committee approach? I mean, now maybe that might actually work. Actually, let me pause myself. That might actually work. Remember, they had some success last year when they were unable to run the ball. They did the committee approach.
Win in Liam Eichenberg. Yeah, you got a point there.
Look, so maybe that's the solution, but they got to figure it out, because this ain't it. You can't lose 31 again. And people, I'm pretty sure, are probably tired of hearing the score 31-6. But look, you lose 31-6 to the Browns, you're gonna hear it a lot. You're gonna hear it a lot, and I think they got to figure it out. Outside of that, I don't necessarily know what the biggest change could be. Like, okay, maybe you give Jalen Wright a few touches, right? But I'm pretty sure we're both in agreement. Jalen Wright didn't look particularly good in the preseason, right? So, sure, maybe he has a switch that he turns on when the games actually matter, and that would be great if that's the case.
Yeah.
But you're only as good as your most recent performance, and then there's a reason why you haven't had a carry in 2025. So I'm just wondering what the change will be that will kind of allow this team to play better. I just don't see where it could happen.
I personally think that if I were going to make changes, I would play D. Eskridge more. Now, that's a totally different element. Maybe you play Nick Westbrook-Akine because he helps you in the run game. I get it. But D. Eskridge has speed. He's got quickness. I would argue to you he's probably the second fastest receiver still on the team behind Jalen Waddle. Probably one of the top 5 fastest players on the team. This guy was a second-round pick at one point in time.
He was.
That means going into a draft, everybody in the NFL, well, most people in the NFL, or at least one team in the NFL, looked at him and said, this guy is a top 100 talent in this draft class. You can't say that about anybody else on this receiving corps except for Jalen Waddle.
No, that's fair. I think that's a very fair assessment. However, if you look back to that draft class and what was happening around that time, that was when everyone was trying to find the next Tyreek Hill, right? And there's a lot more teams that were unsuccessful doing that than there were successful teams. The Philadelphia Eagles being one of them, drafting Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. So, as much as credence as you want to give that line of thinking, there's a reason why, the Seattle Seahawks kind of relegated him specifically to, punt and kick returns, right? Now, he did have the long catch against the Browns during garbage time. Hopefully he can replicate a little bit of that. But again, like, this secondary is no joke, right? And, the kind of the read is kind of out on Tua Tagovailoa, right? You want to take away that first read. You want to clog up the middle. I want to see what he can do against a pass defense that is ranked number 1. So we'll see.
It's funny that you say that because all defenses have been playing that way against Tua. This is nothing new. It really comes down to game planning, strategy, and also protection, which nobody ever wants to talk about when they're talking about Tua, but it is what it is. Here's another change. We have got Jason Marshall Jr. back at practice. He was the starting nickel, not to say he necessarily deserved it, not to say he didn't, but he was the rookie starting nickel. They were investing those snaps in him. When he went down, they've gone through a series of nickels, and Minka Fitzpatrick has had to play that spot. If Jason Marshall Jr. comes back, there's a possibility that Minka can go back to free safety. Now, I don't know if that's the best thing because I like Minka closer to the line of scrimmage. Not necessarily wanted him covering the slot receivers, but I liked him closer to the line of scrimmage. But as we know, we're not getting impactful play from the safeties. Maybe Minka going back there will allow the Dolphins to get impactful play from that unit. Here's Minka talking about what this 1-6 team needs to do to get on the winning edge.
I think you look at what you've done well, and you continue to do those things. And everything that you're not doing well, you analyze every iota of that process and figure out how you can do it better. So I don't really think it's a balance. It's an understanding of what you do well and what you don't. The things that you don't do well, you analyze and you look at your process and try and figure out what you can do to do it better.
At this point, is there much talking, or is it just more like, hey, we want to try to do this and get out of this?
There's a lot of communicating going on behind the scenes and on the field, trying to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And so yeah, you still have to talk and communicate. Getting distracted, you still have to talk and communicate, for sure.
What's the greatest challenge that you'll face with a back like Bijan Robinson?
There's nothing that he can't do. He can run the ball downhill. He can run the ball outside. He can make you miss in the open field. He can run routes. They line him up at receiver and they run the real routes. So just making sure you're swarming to a guy like that, getting multiple guys on him when he gets the ball in his hand, and then just trying to wear him down over the long haul of the game.
Two things real quick. One, that was the most I've ever seen Minka Fitzpatrick smile. All right. And two, what was distracting him?
Oh, players were behind him, like doing messing around, joining the interview, putting their head in, the usual.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But that's the most I've seen him smile. Like, I mean, there's not much to smile about at 1-6, but at least he's doing it, right? Like I just, it's kind of like one of those rare things that you see every now and then. So
here's what I find interesting about what Minka said. Okay, if you've had the time to analyze what you do well and what you've struggled with, clearly you've had a lot of time to analyze what you struggle with. And the problem is you can't fix it or haven't fixed it, or more than likely can't fix it, which is your trench play. Good football teams stop the run, which gives you the opportunity to rush the passer, and then you rush the passer, maybe you get turnovers. That's from the defensive side. And good football teams can run the ball effectively. This Dolphins team can, generally, and they protect their quarterback, giving him a comfortable pocket. Not always protected. He's not always going to have all day. He's got to create, got to improvise. Yes, I watched Justin Herbert play yesterday and scramble for about 80 yards. I understand. Quarterbacks got to be mobile. They gotta escape out the pocket sometimes. Tua does not necessarily do that. Does not necessarily look to do that. But it would be nice if his offensive line actually gave him a clean pocket, maybe 10, 15 times a game. But what does this team do well, Isaiah?
Well, they have Devon Achane, right? So they run the ball quite well, right? That's one thing. I mean, they're okay against the pass. It kind of depends who's out there, right? Like Rasul Douglas has been pretty solid against the pass. Jack Jones, it depends whether he's like too hype or not, right? And if it's Ethan Bonner, then it might as well be a wash as far as I'm concerned, right? Because I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, okay. Listen, I'm not opposed to Ethan getting more playing time. Ethan's fast. He's big. He's physical. He's getting.
Does he know what he's doing?
Does Jack Jones know what he's doing?
No, but I at least like when you build a cornerback, who do you want them more like? You want him more like Jack Jones? You want him more like Ethan Bonner?
Physically, I want him more like Ethan Bonner, if I'm being honest with you.
Yes, but mentally, you want them a little bit more like Jack Jones. Jack Jones,
not necessarily. Actually, I don't.
You don't want your cornerback to be jawing with the receivers. You want him to be quiet. You want him to be meek.
I want to
come on now. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Stable. I want a cornerback who's stable. Jack Jones is.
Yes, there's highs and lows, right? But I think Jack Jones is better against the run, right? And again, both of them aren't great against the run, but Jack Jones is better. Jack Jones has at least made a few plays in the backfield, right?
Missed a lot of tackles, though.
He has missed a lot of tackles, which is why he's getting this timeshare it's even originated to begin with, right? But that's neither here nor there. I think everyone points to that one semi-good play that he had that Bonner had against the Chargers, where he kind of dropped back into coverage and took away that deep crosser. Okay, that's fine, but what about the rest of the game where he lost outside contain, right? Like I don't know, man. Like for me, I'd prefer Jack Jones just because, again, I'd prefer to have – there's little things that Jack Jones does too. Jack Jones forced a false start against the Chargers, which I don't think a lot of people noticed that because he was literally in the receiver's face and, jumped at him and the receiver jumped, right? I gave him props for that because – and I don't think anyone else saw that. I was like, you do that a lot, and it doesn't work all the time, but when it works – that's a free 5 yards that you're getting, right? So I appreciate that, right? And so I just say that to say I just like corners that have a little bit of an edge to them. I like my corners that have edge to them. Now, again, you got to take the highs with the lows, right? We're the Chance the Rapper and Joey Badass, but it is what it is, right? It is what it is. That's how I'd rather have my corners. And so getting back to what they do well, they're actually pretty solid in the red zone when they get there.
Yeah,
right?
offensively and defensively.
That's what I'm saying. They just gotta get there, right? And so, look, man, I think when you're on the road back-to-back weeks, right? You gotta kind of hang your hat on a few things, right? For me this week, I'm hanging my hat on the run game. I'm gonna look. Marcel, ESPN reporter, just put out a great story about how Devon Achane has a bunch more touches than everyone else on the offense. Look, I don't care at this point. He's the brightest spot of the offense. You got to keep riding the high end. I'm giving him the ball, and I think you got to ask your defense not to allow the home run, right? I think the home run has been what has been killing this defense time and time again. Even last week, right, where they were markedly better against the run, that 46-yard burst that Kinshawn had was really one of the biggest differences of the game, in addition to the penalties and the turnovers, right?
And there was a holding on that call on that play, by the way. But that's it is what it is.
There's a holding on almost every run play in the NFL. Right?
Offense, it's about there was a holding. Jonah Savaniah held on Devon Achane's big run, so fair is fair.
Fair is fair.
Listen, I agree with you. They are pretty good in the red zone. I certainly liked what I was seeing from Darren Waller when he was available. Now I have a little bit of concern about the tight end position, how much their Julian Hill's absence is going to make you change out of your two tight end package. Unless you go into your two tight end package and play Alec Ingold, but then Alec Ingold doesn't necessarily do inline stuff. So is Tanner Connor really ready to step up and do the big boy work? I'm very
as a blocker. No, he was not. He's not. He was getting killed by like second teamers during the preseason, right?
That was training camp. Listen, this is his opportunity. Hear me out. Hear me out.
My bad. Go ahead. My fault.
Hear me out.
My facial expressions kind of tell a different story before my brain does. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All I'm saying is, we have spent, let me see how many years. We have spent 3 years investing in Tanner Connor. He knows the plays. He knows the playbook. He's one of the smartest players. He is a dangerous weapon when he's a flex weapon. Okay, not Darren Waller, but he can give you Jonnu Smith type productivity. Not Jonnu Smith run after catch, but he can get into open space. Come on, he can run routes to get in open space. When Jonnu wasn't playing or Darren Waller wasn't there, Tanner Connor was doing his thing. Tanner Connor was making plays, productive. If they had backup decent quarterbacks, he would have scored like 3 touchdowns in the exhibition season. Don't deny that man his glory. But I will acknowledge you've invested 3 years in him. Can you play? Can we? And I gotta admit, there are a lot of people on this roster. I watched last night's game, the Chargers. Backups play well. The Vidal, what is he? 13? Was he on the
13? Had over 100 rushing yards. Second time in 3 games.
Like, where that back at in Miami's offense? Where's that receiver? Who the hell has stepped up for this team? Like, that's okay. KJ Britt, maybe the one guy that stepped up for this team.
He played well. He played well, but again, like that's a veteran. Like that's a veteran linebacker who's played with a
player to be young. I just need that player to take his opportunity and seize it. Because nobody is doing that. Nobody, like, who's playing well on this team? Like,
it's a handful of guys. It's literally Devon Achane and company. I saw a Patrick Paul too. I saw a meme that was like what's the sports equivalent to this? And it was a Lamborghini parked outside of a trailer home, and then it was a picture of Devon Achane.
Yeah, so I tweeted. I responded to that earlier in the season. I called it Tyreek Hill, but it's. I get the point. I get the point that you're trying to make. That was when Tyreek was healthy.
Yeah, but of course.
Getting back to the root of this team's problem, trench play. It's not going anywhere. It's really a personnel issue. You got a lot of injuries on the offensive line. Hopefully, I've seen James Daniels and I've seen Austin Jackson working this week. Hopefully they're 1 or 2 weeks away. Not to say that they're going to save the season, but hey, maybe Tua will have more of a comfortable pocket. But now that defensive line, they didn't make any claims. They didn't sign any players. Yet another week. We're continuing to ride the investment in the young players in Kenneth Grant and Jordan Phillips. And you know my policy. I'm not going to knock, destroy, beat up the rookies until we get to the midseason.
I was about to say, we here.
The midseason. We are approaching.
Let the chopper sing.
Here is Austin Clark, the defensive line coach, addressing where these young players are in their development.
With KG, I think comfortability in the scheme and the way we're playing them, as well as some of the technique and fundamentals and kind of working into like pro playing shape. I think those are all things that have helped him out. We asked him to do a lot. We've asked him to line up a couple different places, and I think we're seeing some growth, which is encouraging. But he does have a long way to go. He knows that, and he's a guy you can really challenge, and that's something we're doing with him, and he's getting better every day.
And as far as the shape thing, had you told him to lose weight or get more muscle? What happened?
No, it's just I'm just talking about like the volume of snaps at an NFL level versus bigger guys and stuff like that. Just stuff that any rookie would go through. Right. Jordan's going through the same thing, and for rookie D linemen or rookies in general, it's like the longest year of their life with 3 preseason games. Then we're now week 8, so that's like 11 games. Whereas in college, that's something you don't see. But encouraged by both of them.
Where's Jordan Phillips' development right now?
Yeah, I think Jordan, what he's doing a great job of is, especially in the run game, getting his hands on the man. And I think the things he's got to work on is separating and finishing to make the play. But he plays aggressive. He plays with great eye discipline. And, we moved him around a little bit here. And, I think he's doing a great job on early down.
With Zeke Biggers, he hasn't been active for a game. What does he need to do to earn the playing time?
Yeah, I think for Zeke, the biggest thing with him kind of coming out of training camp was a lot of the run game stuff and run fundamentals, as whereas is the fourth or fifth D lineman, providing some versatility there. And he's doing a heck of a job for us, man. I mean, Zeke's a guy that I feel comfortable playing with as time goes on here. He's close. He's done a great job.
My argument is, if he's close, why is he not playing ahead of Matthew Butler, who actually allowed the big run that Judkins had last week? Not to say that I have an issue with Matthew Butler, but we are where we are, and the question is, why are we playing people that we're not trying to develop? Matthew Butler is not young. Zeke Biggers is, and Biggers is a bigger figure. Well, that's funny. That's interesting. Yeah. But obviously, we need these young players, and I'm not going to blame the whole season on the young players, because the old players are making mistakes too.
Of course.
We need those young players to stop playing like they're young players and sort of grow up. And we also need Tua to clean up his game and protect the football. And we need the running game to show up. So on that note, let's get into the predictions. I will start it out. I am not going to pick the Miami Dolphins to win another game this season until they actually win another game. So, it's I got to go with Atlanta 24-17. I'm just worried about Bijan Robinson and breaking the big one, because we all know they can break you can break the big one on this defense.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 24-10. Falcons. I saw the numbers for Bijan Robinson. His over under is 99.5. Right. So I'm not.
All purpose or rushing.
Just rushing. I'm not paid to give y'all any sort of betting advice, and I normally would not. But and technically sports betting is illegal in the state of Georgia, where I currently am. So for everyone back in Miami, you might want to place that ticket, spam that over before y'all. If y'all coming down here, spam that over before y'all leave, because 99.5, especially if I see that Algiers is questionable. So it might be a double dose of Bijan. Woo! So I'm sorry.
Hey, listen, Algier is a beast, because I can tell you how many times we've seen him in training camp, and he has chewed them up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on this game. As we all know, turnovers are killers. The Dolphins have to protect the football. But they've also got to have young players step up, and interested to see what young receivers step up. On that note, Dolphins in depth, we will be back on Monday, wrapping up what happened in Atlanta and getting you ready for Thursday night's showdown with the Baltimore Ravens, which Miami will coincidentally host. One of the rare times that a Thursday night game is not a division rivalry. So we will see you back on Monday.